with Section 8, you're betting on the government, right? And what can the government do? And even if the worst times happen, we've seen it, they can just print more money. And Section 8 has been around for, many, many years. And there's over, don't quote me on a number, but there's over 3 or 4 million people on Section 8. And so I looked into that and, realized, and then there's such strong demand for it. Every city in this country, including Nashville, there's waiting lists for Section 8 tenants for over 2 years.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Pros Podcast. I'm Kristen, and I'm here with Anthony Redmond, who is a real estate investor and entrepreneur out of Tennessee, specializing in Section 8 and BRRRR strategies. Thanks for being here, Anthony.
Yeah, Kristen, thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to get into this. You have a really impressive portfolio, and you seem to be scaling into new builds and all that. Let's start at the beginning. How did you get into real estate?
Yeah, so like anyone, I read a book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Listen, I'm no different than anybody else. I didn't have money growing up or necessarily anything like that, a silver spoon in my mouth, but I had the drive and hustle. So I was working a corporate job. I worked for multiple, Fortune 500 companies, and I had moved down to South Florida, Miami in particular. It was probably the best thing that could have ever happened to me because I'm from New York, but I grew up in a small town outside of Tampa. And they say, you can only grow as big as, your bandwidth around you. And so I moved to Miami, got an opportunity down there, and still with a corporate job. I had a sales job down there. And then I just realized that, this whole 9 to 5 thing, it wasn't for me. I got a 2-year associate's degree. I knew school wasn't for me, to 4 years and whatever. But so real estate, I came across a wholesaling real estate like a lot of people do. And I was like, what is this? And unfortunately, that was like 2015. And I spent a bunch of money on a guru. And I say a guru because there's gurus and then there's people that actually do it. My business partner, I call them doers. And I didn't have any money for marketing, didn't know, so I kind of failed. But then 2017 came and I kind of hit rock bottom. And I said, this real estate thing has to work for me. So I started driving Uber and Lyft at night after my sales job during the day. I covered the 3 counties down in South Florida for marketing dollars. And I would take that, put it into mailers. My direct mail was the first thing that I ever did. And I would, I'd be on I-95 driving. I'd pull over to the side of, on the shoulder if I got a call and, talk to the seller. And, I got my first deal under contract. Everything was by text, so it was pretty crazy. It was new to me. I'm like, I've never even spoke to the guy. It was a $250,000 duplex, whatever. So I ended up doing one, and then one turned to, a second one and the third. And then from there, just kind of through, my network, you meet other real estate professionals that are doing different things. And I knew wholesaling real estate, it's a great way, like a lot of people say, to make money in the short term, but you want to actually own that asset. So you build up some money from wholesaling, and then you figure out how and try and buy a rental or maybe a flip. And I really didn't even go into flips. Actually, I take that back. I did one. My first flip was virtually. I started to wholesale in Houston, Texas, when Miami got a little too saturated. and I
Uh,
partnered with someone out there, and I did my first flip, and then COVID hit like a month later. So that was fun. We ended up breaking out even after the entire year of that. But from there, I met up with someone and connected with my business partner now, still to this day. His name is James Jones. He's in Memphis, Tennessee. And we had a deal locked up one time, and we spoke for about 30 minutes at same deal. And then we ran into each other like 6 months later, and we ended up partnering together. So from there, he had a big wholesale operation going on, and I moved to Nashville. He had an office in Nashville. After COVID hit, we closed up the one in Miami, and I didn't, I started to buy with him in Memphis, and I knew I didn't really like Memphis, so I lived in Nashville, and it was a short drive over. And we had a few rentals, and then, from there, I just kind of, I went back to Miami, and I met up with an old mentor, and we started chit-chatting. And he said something that changed my life. We started to talk about, oddly enough, there was minimum the wage of like a Taco Bell and a Wendy's, and they were paying $15 an hour. And all I said to him was, "Isn't it amazing they can't get people to work for $15 an hour?" And from there, it opened up the floodgates. He told me, why? And I said, no, and he's like, well, because the majority of people that work there, they'd be earning too much money. And I said, what do you mean? And he's like, well, and then he started telling me about government assistance and things like that. He had a couple rentals, and he said if he were to do it over again and he were able to go back in Miami, he's like, he would do Section 8. And I said,
yeah.
that's funny because at the time we just closed on a 16 package townhouse package, and one of them were Section 8. And
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
so after that, I said, that's funny. We just have this one person Section 8. So I went back to Memphis. I said, James, I think I'm onto something. And I dove into Section 8, what it entails, and all of that good stuff. And from there, we just changed everything to Section 8. We didn't have that many rentals, or I didn't with him at the time. And
Mhm.
then from there, now we have hundreds, and they're all Section 8. So it just kind of progresses, you know what I mean? But wholesaling is a good way to start. And it's all about the mindset. I'm mentoring a new wholesaler I met at a meetup over here the other night in Nashville. And I had him over here yesterday, and he's got the drive, the determination, the hustle. And, he will get his first deal, and hopefully, I'm able to buy it from him. But he's got that drive and determination, and it starts there, and then you progress.
Absolutely. I mean, a theme kind of in what you were talking about is you've had really great partners along the way that's really helped you scale up your career. And now you're, doing the opposite for somebody else. You had that maybe negative experience with the guru.
I
What is the
did, and
uh,
sorry, go
what
ahead. I didn't mean to
no,
cut you off.
yeah, what's the difference between kind of finding good partners and maybe people that don't fit? What have you learned from that?
Yeah, so what I didn't mention in there, because I was trying to sum up the story in short, I failed with the big flashy guru. And in order for me to get started again, I still knew that I needed to learn from someone that's been there and done it. The best way to learn and do something is hands-on for most people, especially for me. And the prior guru was not hands-on. So that was a huge difference for me. So while I saved up money driving Uber and Lyft, I failed to mention that I also saved up money to pay another mentor. And I don't call him a guru because he wasn't out there flashing anything. I think I saw him online. He was at a real estate investing meetup just locally in Miami. He had a couple students, but nothing crazy about him. But I was able to, meet and actually talk to him, and from there I was able to pay him. I think at the time it was like $3,500, and he was the one who was able to get me to my first deal, and then help my second. And actually from there I sped up and actually ended up partnering with him. I was the only one of his like kind of students that he ever did that with. So yeah, that's the biggest difference is there's so much, and that's what James and I hate about the space. There's so much people out there that just sell information and they keep you in the information learning mode versus actually doing it because their business model is to make money off of you just continuously learning and selling this and selling that versus you actually executing. And it's a out analysis paralysis, right, is what they say. And that's
Yeah.
those are key factors.
Yeah, it's a fine line because you do want education before you go do it, but there is that, some people do stay in that learning phase for too long. And
Right, yeah.
you must have learned a lot on the job too.
Yeah, I did. So, he actually went to my first deal with me. We walked through buyers through talking to buyers, things like that nature. So, yeah, just having someone that's more accessible and hands-on is, I think, a bigger key difference than any other.
If you're looking for consistent, high quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd love for you to get into more about Section 8. You figured out that was a good opportunity. Can you break down why exactly that's such a great opportunity?
Yeah, so again, Section 8 over the past couple of years became super popular. There's a lot of people out there pushing it now, but that's not why I got into it. Like I said, my mentor in Miami, when I went down to visit, he explained how people, generations live off of the government, right? Nothing wrong with it. They're able to do it. So, food stamps and they get their power paid for it and all of that. And I said to and we had just gone through COVID, and I said to myself, well, what happens if something happens like this again? People lose their jobs. Ultimately, the biggest difference is that the government is going to pay you. Whereas every day with a regular retail tenant, it can be someone like you or I, it doesn't matter the person. You're betting on them. When you rent to them, you're betting on them, right? That's why everyone has a credit score. So you're betting on them to get up, go to work, not get in a car accident, not drink the night before, not make bad life choices to be able to pay their rent each and every month. Well, with Section 8, you're betting on the government, right? And what can the government do when even if the worst times happen, we've seen it, they can just print more money. And Section 8 has been around for, many, many years. And there's over, don't quote me on the number, but there's over 3 or 4 million people on Section 8. And so I looked into that and, realized, and then there's such strong demand for it. Every city in this country, including Nashville, there's waiting lists for Section 8 tenants for over 2 years. So not only is there demand for it, you don't have to worry about necessarily getting paid each month, which allows us to scale. I had lunch with someone the other day, a potential client, and he's like, "Wow, you're able to get to hundreds of units in a short time frame. It's pretty impressive." And the only reason why is because I built a system with, we'll get into that with the houses and stuff, but not having to worry about your mortgages getting paid and knowing that you're going to get paid each month allows you to be able to do that and really scale.
Absolutely. I mean, that's such a good point that I think probably a lot of people don't talk about. And you mentioned your systems, which I think is very fascinating, how you've been able to scale quickly. Can you kind of break some of those down?
Yeah, so like, to me, I'm more of I have a business partner. His name is James, like I mentioned, and I'm more of the systems and process, and he's more of the big thinker. And so, yeah, originally when we got into it, we did a rehab here, put a tenant into it, and did that. And then I realized, okay, as we started to buy more units, realize that okay, we go through and how can we make this thing run like a conveyor belt? So then we realized, okay, we do all the floors, we do everything exactly the same to a house. So we paint it the same, we do the floors the same, the backsplash, and a lot of people don't realize too, we make the houses as maintenance free as possible. So we don't put in fans, we don't put in sprayers for the kitchen sinks.
Mhm.
We don't put in garbage disposals. We don't do a lot of things that you might have in a regular retail rental. They're not ultimately needed, right? No, nobody necessarily needs a fan or a sprayer, but those things can cause maintenance items. So if you're always having to go back and constantly fix things that are breaking, you can't have that conveyor belt continue to run smoothly. So, I kind of realized that, and that's just kind of how my mind works. And, so we built systems with the contractors to kind of do everything the same ultimately so we can scale on that end. And then in-house, I realized too, property management, if we're going to do this many units, a property manager is good. If you have 5, 10 units and maybe you don't really have any time, you have a 9 to 5 and that's perfectly fine. But I realized, if we're going to build an entire business out of it and be able to scale, we want to control everything. So then, built an in-house property management team, a bunch of virtual assistants and kind of the same thing on the back end. We buy a property, a Google Drive folder gets created for it with a bunch of different folders in there, insurance, documents, contracts, all of that stuff, leases, and kind of the same thing across the board. And when you build out a system, so a lot of people want to go to from like 0 to 10 real quick, but go to 0 to 1, figure it out, and then 2, figure it out, 3, 4. And now you're figuring out what process works for you. Ultimately, there's not one system that works for everyone. And then from there, you can, really scale. But it's important to do that in the beginning to kind of figure out your systems.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
Yeah, scaling in a thoughtful way, kind of going deep rather than wide. I think a lot of people make that mistake where they just want more doors and more money.
Yeah, and what happens is we see it because we have a bunch of students and some want to go, they have the means and stuff and they want to go 0 to 20 units in like 6 months. While you can do it, you got to get to unit 1 first. And
Mhm.
we see it sometimes and we tell them, hey, all right, stop buying, slow down, like, relax for a second because you have so much out on different hard money and you're still figuring out, like, they don't have a full system and process and they're just figuring out as they go, but they're almost they get in over their head because they have 10 properties and they're everywhere. So
Mhm.
it's much better. It might seem like a slower progression to get to 20 properties, but figuring out your systems in the first 5 or so. And again, that's whether it's rentals or if you're doing, if you're constantly going to do maybe a flip a month or every other month or kind of just anything. Figuring that out in the beginning is what allows you then to really scale.
Definitely. And you're kind of playing with different, I know you have some flips, long-term rentals, starting with new builds. I know that long-term rentals have been really your bread and butter. How did you decide on that?
So again, just wholesaling, I realized, and just networking and reading different books and podcasts and, YouTube's, owning the actual asset is, where all the money is made. It's where the net worth is created. So, a flip is great. You know, let's say you make 40,000 on a flip. We do the BRRRR model in Memphis in particular. You have to have the right market for it. And the BRRRR model basically just means you buy it, you rehab it, you rent it, you refinance it, and then you repeat. And that's exactly what we do. So we do that and we might pull out the same amount of money, 20, 30, $40,000. The biggest difference is that it's tax free. And now we own that asset long term. So guess what? Our net worth goes up. We're able to borrow more. There's a lot more in it with when you actually own the asset. And at the end of the day, depending on the market, and then you have a renter in there paying your mortgage down, every 5 years or so, people don't realize those become like ATMs. You can then refinance it again and pull whatever, maybe the market went up and your mortgage got paid down, you can refinance it, pull some equity out again. That comes back to you tax free. 5, 7 years later, you do it again. So when you have 10, 20, 30, and you're able to do this over the years, those keep on paying you versus a flip that pays you just one time. I watch Shark Tank all the time, probably like a lot of people that watch or listen to this. And Barbara Cochran, I'll never forget. She has a couple sources of income, like most on there. She said her biggest source of income still to this day, out of anything that she does, is refinancing her rental properties. And she
Uh,
does it every year. She's bought obviously many, I don't know how many over the years. She said still to this day, her biggest income producer is refinancing those rental properties. She's got buildings and whatever, but that's what people don't realize. It's the gift that keeps giving.
yeah, I mean, that's amazing. That's a really good breakdown of it. And to kind of switch gears a little bit, I mean, you said it in the beginning where you were really focused on marketing and getting yourself out there. It seems like you have a pretty good handle on that. Can you just talk about the importance of, personal branding, marketing, social media, all of that?
Yeah, for sure. So I was kind of the guy that was always just behind the scenes. I'm a systems and process guy, as you hear now, and never really out there on social media. I had it, but I was never really out there. But then I realized, you can do a lot of good, especially if you are actually doing it, right? You have a lot of knowledge to give to people. And James and I, we had three guys come to us in Memphis a few years back, and they came to us. They were local. James is, born and raised in Memphis, so a lot of people know him there. And they wanted us to help them, kind of with their rentals at scale. And they had two rentals, and they sat down with us, in the office, and within that hour, we poured into them. And they went from there. Within that following year, they went from 2 units to like 44 units within the next 12 months. And
Whoa.
now, right now, I think they have about 100 units, which is pretty amazing. So from there, I was able to see the power of knowledge and helping people out because there's really a need for it. And
Yeah.
ultimately, I did get tired as well. I got taken by one seeing these gurus that sell this stuff, and you don't get anything from it. You just get a little bit. And so from there, we realized, okay, maybe we can do something because these guys are like, you should really, put yourself out there and help others out and coach because you guys actually really do it.
Mhm.
And kind of hit a light bulb. And so from there, James and I talked, and we both started kind of social media and putting ourselves out there more. And while I still don't do it as much as I should, it's super important and it's really good. You're building your brand, your personal brand. So whether you have nothing to sell, if you have some sort of knowledge, there's someone out there that's going to watch it and it's going to help them ultimately. And that in itself is a pretty cool feeling because, I just actually yesterday I did a podcast like this a few months back, and they tagged me in it yesterday. One of the people that was just happened to be watching it, I guess. Just from my podcast there to now, he was able to get 10 units, right? I wasn't
Right.
selling anything on the podcast. I was just giving, free knowledge. And so they tagged me in that, and then, he texts me. He's like, "That's pretty incredible." That to me is like is so cool because you're able to help people achieve what they didn't realize is possible. So on my aspect of things, again, even if you're not selling anything, just having a personal brand, if you have some sort of niche or knowledge about business, which most people do, real professionals overall, building the brand, just putting yourself out there on social media, just telling people about it, is pretty cool.
It's amazing. Yeah, I think it's really important. And just as you said, just building a brand and getting your face out there, it really does make a difference. And you never know what can come of it and what leads will come.
Yeah, it's a huge difference. And let's say you are selling something, or maybe you're just selling insurance. You're not selling people on how to, get insurance. You're just actually selling insurance.
Right.
Or you're a real estate agent. I think everyone now needs a brand for the most part, unless you're just stuck behind a desk at a corporate job. But even then, you never know where your life is going to be next year to 5 years from now. So why not just starting putting yourself out there? Everybody finds anything interesting. So you just, even if you have nothing, I'm sure you have something, but you just I'm going shopping, you put that out there, whatever. But like, you know, if you're a realtor, things like that, because then when you're referred to someone, the first thing people do is look you up on social media and kind of
Mhm.
see if you're actually doing it. And
Right.
oh yeah, this person's got, you know, and it's not even necessarily about the follower count anymore. Just the proof, proof that's out there. That's where people are going to. Business cards are no longer a thing, and you know what I mean. That's the proof for anything now.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, you've broken down a lot of great things for people starting out, scaling. Tell everyone where to find you.
Yeah, so you can find me on all platforms. Real Estate Ant, a nice green picture with my face on it. But yeah, I'm on all platforms, mainly on Instagram. But yeah, find me anywhere. I drop a lot of free knowledge all the time. You know, I don't just do Section 8, you know, I do the BRRRR, which is the rehabs and all of that. I'm going to be starting doing new construction soon. So I'll, you know, take everyone through that. I'll have videos on that and just kind of what I learned. But yeah, I mean, if you just go to my page or even my business partner's page and you can pull up a video, a couple of videos or YouTube's, I mean, there's a lot of free content that we give away because we just truly love helping people. It's pretty cool when, like I said, you get the text that this person, you know, got 10 units within 6 months just from watching something like this. So, yeah, make sure to look me up and follow me.
Incredible. Well, thank you so much, Anthony.
All right. Well, I appreciate you having me on, Kristen.
And thank you, everybody, for listening. I hope you got some good inspiration for your own business and got a lot of takeaways. Definitely check Anthony out. He's got a lot of free knowledge to give away. And we'll see you back next time. Bye.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.